They told us to give a disclaimer. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the podcasters, any guests, and do not reflect any of the management, owners, sponsorships, or employees of thereof. Pretty much, if you're soft, don't listen to this podcast. One thing I pride myself on is just being the same and trying to look out for my folks along the way.
Like, even with all these, big things happening, like, you still mad humble, and you still, like, you have enough clout now where you could easily be like, I'm not fucking with this, I'm not fucking with that.
Oh yeah, motherfuckers, it's on. Welcome back to the Unrestricted podcast. It's DreRawka, and I got a very special guest in the studio today. My man from Fierce Fighting Championship. He is not only a play-by-play announcer or commentator, but you also do social media with them.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
My man Blake, I've been practicing, all right? Aurelian.
Dude, you got it perfect. You got it perfect, bro. Great job.
When I say I've been practicing, he had to coach me on it. How you doing today, brother?
Doing fantastic, man. How are you?
I am great. It's a Friday afternoon. You moved down south.
Yeah.
So you're not in the valley no more.
No, we're not in the valley. So a lot of the stuff I'm doing for Fierce is pretty remote throughout the week, up until the events. And then I travel up here once a month for, whether we're at the Maverick Center, whether we're up in Idaho, if we're at Clearfield High School, wherever it may be.
Nice, man. So why the move?
So my wife got a job at Zion National Park. She is she's one of their she does social media, she does communication, she writes press releases and stuff like that. And so she got a job down in Zion National Park right around a time where the TV station that I was working at and doing sports for full time, unfortunately shut down. And so she got this job and she was like, let's move down south. And then once I moved down south, Zach reached out to me and was like, hey, we want you to, do a little bit more for us. And so, got the opportunity and we're about a month into it and I'm loving it, man. It's so fun.
Nice. So you go from, where were you living before?
We were in Salt Lake, in Mill Creek.
Oh, dang. So you right in the valley.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's, did you know people down south? Did you guys meet anybody there?
Not really. It's crazy. So we moved there and we were told that we were going to have, our apartment wasn't going to be ready for another month. It was just people moving in, moving out. But Zion National Park has housing for employees. So we were going to stay in the park for a month while we stayed there. And it was supposed to be like a 4-bedroom house, all decked out. It was going to be super nice. We get there. It's like a 1-bedroom trailer and there's no internet, bro. There was no internet. And I was like, my entire job, everything I do, I need internet. I need to be researching. I need to be, looking at old fights, things like that. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I lived in the library. I was in the library like 8-9 hours a day, just doing stuff for Fierce. And then, but her aunt and uncle were luckily just like visiting for the month. They were just staying down there for the month. And so we were hanging out with them like every single weekend. It was super fun.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm thinking your wife, she needs the Wi-Fi too, though.
Right? Well, she goes into the office, so
okay.
She was all good there. But it was crazy. Like, we got there and we're like, what the heck? Like, what are we going to do for the next month? We were out in the dark. It was crazy.
You don't have no kids, right?
No.
Do you have any fur animals?
No.
Babies?
No.
Okay, so it's literally just you and your wife.
It's just us two.
Okay. I mean, it could be worse, right? If
Right.
bedroom with a bunch of kids and maybe a dog or so, that could be a little crazy.
We want to get, a dog at some point, but we want to make sure that the dog has a backyard, can go out, play, do all that stuff. So we're going to hold off on the dog until we have a house, a backyard, stuff like that. But
I hear you, man. I have 3 kids, and one of my my oldest son, Tavian, you watch him on the pod.
Yeah.
He's always bugging me, Dad, when can we get a dog?
Oh yeah.
And I'm on the 4th level condo, right? So there's no yard. So I'm like, man, it's not fair to the dog, right?
Makes it tough.
Yeah, and then I have to, I'm working to get into a house. Me and my wife are working on it, but it is, it's not the easiest thing to tell your kids no.
No, sure, I get that. I totally get that. I mean, it's tough, and I was in the same situation when I was a kid. My mom was allergic to animals that shed. And so it was always really tough. But at the end of the day, like I look back and I'm like, man, I'm kind of glad we didn't have a dog because it made us closer. It made us really tight and stuff like that. But that's tough, man.
So siblings?
So kind of an interesting situation. So I'm adopted.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up with one older brother and we're not blood related. And then I've got 4 half siblings from my birth mother who I met. Now it was like 7-8 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were adopted at birth?
Yes, adopted at birth.
Okay, and that was from a family in Utah?
So my mom had me in Utah, and then my parents, it was through our church, and there was an adoption program and stuff like that. So my parents were able to adopt me, and so it was me and my older brother all growing up. And then we kind of just added into the family when we met my birth mother, years and years later.
How was that, man? How was it meeting your birth mother? Was that something that you always wanted to do? Did you even care?
I always did. I always wanted to know, who she was, and if she, cared to know who I was or whatever. And it's a pretty crazy story, but her and I are so close. And I was actually just having this conversation with someone that when you're adopted, you have a lot of questions. You have a lot of questions about, who am I, when you meet the person who gave birth to you, it answers a lot of questions like, oh, that's why I talk that way, or that's why I blink that way, or whatever it may be. You just pick up on the tendencies and you go, oh, and I never really realized that until I met her. And it was a super interesting thing, but we're all super close. We do Thanksgivings and Christmases together. We're just one big family now. It's super fun. So I love it.
Obviously I don't know what it's like to be adopted, but I do know what it's like to be a product of a interracial marriage, I guess you would say. My mom's Mexican, my dad's black, and it's almost like sometimes you talk about identity, right? So I didn't grow up with my mom, right? So I only knew the black side of my family, and it became a thing where it was like, what is my identity,
right?
Especially when I got around family that I didn't grow up with.
Sure,
it's kind of a different thing.
Sure.
Blake, did you play any sports?
I did play sports. Yes, I played a lot of sports. Sports is basically my whole life, man. Like that's all I do. That's all I know. Like, you start talking to me about stuff beyond that, I'm not too helpful. But no, I played basketball. Basketball was my sport all my life. Played basketball. It was, the dream was to go to the NBA. It was never going to happen. And then I also played lacrosse.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know about lacrosse until high school. I didn't even know lacrosse was a sport.
Dude, same here, man.
I was like, and then one of my homeboys, I went to Conwood. I'm a coach.
Okay, very cool.
And one of my really good friends, he was walking around with this stick and this ball. I was like, what is that? And he's like, man, this thing called lacrosse. And I was like, man, let me see that stick. And I thought it was just like, yo, I could do like he was doing. I was dropping the ball everywhere.
It's hard to pick up, but once you get it, it's like riding a bike.
Yeah.
Once you get it, like, you got it for life.
What high school did you go to?
I grew up in LA.
Hold up,
man. Yeah. I grew up in LA.
Adopted, grew up in LA, got a wife that's in Zion National Park. You are a very interesting dude. So how'd you get to LA? What was there?
Well, my parents just, my dad's job. We were in New Jersey when I was a baby. My dad worked for AT&T back before AT&T cell phones, when it was just landlines. And my dad managed all these landline stores. And so we were in New Jersey, we were back in California, but the majority of my life I was in California, Southern California. So
nice.
Yeah, man.
That makes sense. I think lacrosse is very much SoCal.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's growing a lot out there, but on the East Coast is where it's like, it's a whole different ball game over there.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's crazy.
So high school basketball, how was that? What was your high school like?
So I played, and dude, it was kind of a rough experience. I'm not gonna lie. It was just differences in coaching, teams, and things like that. I don't want to get too into it.
Yeah.
But I would say that through high school basketball, it kind of made me fall out of love with the sport for a long time. It's kind of I don't mean to bring anything down, but it's kind of a little bit of a touchy subject. Like, it was just a tough time.
Yeah.
But makes you stronger, and more than anything, you learn a lot and you gain a lot of perspective from going through really difficult things. And I know I'm not really explaining it, but it was just kind of tough.
Yeah.
But no regrets whatsoever.
That was the high school experience. Did you ever do like, what is it? AAU? Is that?
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that. How was that experience?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, I loved it. I mean, being able to play, compete, and just, go with some of the best dudes and some of the best people, all around was super, super fun for me. And I miss it every day, man. I miss it every single day. And when I got to college, I was like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to the league. I'm not going to play in college. So what am I going to do? and I ended up picking up jiu-jitsu, and so that's what I do now. And so that's like my number one love, and that's what kind of got me into MMA. But yeah,
who introduced you to jiu-jitsu? Because how do you go from playing hoops
right
to being like, yo, I'm gonna lay down with men?
Right. So, oh man, so that's a great question. So I grew up basketball and then watching football, and that's like a huge part of my life. And then my birth mother's husband is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and him and I are really close. So he told me like, hey, you got to try jiu-jitsu. You got to do jiu-jitsu. Like you got to just try it. After years of convincing me, it was November of 2018, stepped on a mat, and it was tough. It was really difficult, but knowing that it was supposed to suck for a really long time helped me to continue to keep training, continue to keep doing it. And to be honest with you, man, like if I don't have that, I don't know if I ever, get the opportunity to work for Fierce, because it's like, yeah, there's sports broadcasting, but MMA is a whole different animal than your basketball, your football, your baseball, whatever it may be. And so I definitely am really grateful for that. And yeah, jiu-jitsu is like my favorite little pastime. So it's super fun.
So normally it's like, yo, karate, and then you learn the other martial arts.
Sure.
That's like the traditional route. What I hear, I was in karate at 6 years old.
Yeah.
And then around middle school or so, then I jumped into jiu-jitsu, but you jumped right into the pinnacle of MMA.
Yeah. No, I mean, I will
really
say I'm super jealous of wrestlers.
Yeah.
Because man, they're so tough and they're so talented and they know where to distribute their weight. And I know when people roll with me, they know like, oh, his wrestling is not a threat. I'm like a pure jiu-jitsu guy. And so it's, I'm a little one-dimensional. I would never go in a cage. I definitely would never go in a cage, but I definitely try to know enough so that if something were to kind of go crazy, I can make sure to protect whoever I'm around or whoever I'm with or help people out, I guess I should say.
Well, I'm glad you know that, man. Because whenever I'm at an event, I'm like, don't make me get my homie Blake. My man student booted over there. Don't worry, he got me.
Get me, get Zach, get Jason, dude, get Joel Haro. If you need someone, go get Joel Haro, man. That dude actually fights. That dude is so good, man. I love Joel.
I feel like I'm the only one without more mixed martial arts experience in the crew.
Well, no. I mean, you got Jackson too. Jackson hasn't trained, but he was a big athlete. He loved football, or he played everything.
Yeah, baseball. Yeah,
he loves it all. But so you still got Jackson. Oh, don't worry about it too much. I could teach you some stuff whenever you want, man. Whenever I'm up here, once a month.
I keep on getting these invites to these, like all the gyms. Everybody's like, come on out. Yeah. I live right down the street from Fight City.
Oh yeah,
I live right there. So I'm like, man, maybe I do just poke my head in. I think it's about time.
Yeah, man.
That's one of my goals. By the end of this year, I want to at least take one class in some type of physical exercise.
Yeah.
Whether if it's boxing, jiu-jitsu, karate, ballet, CrossFit, whatever it is, I just want to try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I mean, there's some incredible people in the entire mixed martial arts community, and I know you know that. In the jiu-jitsu community specifically, there's some incredible people as well. I mean, there's so many great people out here, and I mean, wherever you go, you're going to be in good hands. I really believe that.
You mentioned that you worked in television?
Yeah.
So what? How did you get into television?
So I went to school for sports broadcasting. That's like my whole thing. And so I was just about to graduate from school from BYU, and one of my old friends, Brick Harris, who I love to death, reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I just got a job at Park City TV, and we're hiring a field reporter." And I was like, "Oh, great!" So I ended up going and interviewing for them and had that job for a year until our station unfortunately shut down.
Hold on, PCTV is no longer.
No, it's gone, dude.
Are you serious?
Shut down in November.
Cause I'm not my friend or anything. I just know him, but I think Terry. I think his name was Terry.
Yeah, I think Terry's like an older person. Like, I don't think he worked there when I was there, but I've heard of Terry.
That's how I know about PCTV is when he was up there. They used to do a music segment, and I got to DJ.
No way.
Like on the music segment, yeah.
Oh, no
for one
way.
of the artists that was performing. This was when they were on the second level.
Mm-hmm.
at the time it was Club Suede. There was a club. It was called Club Suede, and it was right on the corner of the building. And Park City TV was just like a couple doors down.
I think it's the same place. I mean, we were the second floor, but now it's a bank and a movie theater, and then there's like a grocery store around the corner. But yeah.
So you're at PCTV. You were there, field reporter.
Yeah, field reporter, and it was incredible, man. I absolutely loved it. It was getting to, you know, bring a community together was so rewarding. It was a small sports show. It was high school sports. But being a high school sports reporter, it really taught me a lot of things. But more than anything, it was just rewarding to see kids, you know, accomplish their dreams and accomplish their goals. And again, create community with the parents, the coaches, the faculty, bring them all together in some sort of way through that program. It was a dream job. It really was. It was incredible. I miss it a lot, but what I'm doing now for Fierce is even more so a dream job. So I'll take that any day.
We'll jump into more of that here in a minute. But you said you went to BYU.
Yes.
Did you go straight from California to BYU?
So I went to BYU, Idaho for a semester.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, I don't really like it here. So I transferred to UVU. And so I was all over the place. I was a mess. And then transferred to UVU, did 2 semesters there, and then had enough credits to transfer into BYU because I always wanted to end up in the broadcasting program at BYU because it's pretty solid. And so went and, you know, once I got to BYU, I was like, all right, this is where I'm going to be. And this is where, you know, it's all going to happen. And then hopefully from there, a future. And yeah, so here we are 5-6 years later or something like that. So
do you, are you happy with your college career? Are you glad you went that academic route?
Yeah. I think it was, you know, sometimes I look back and I'll talk to Allie, and Allie's my wife, and I'll be like, man, why didn't I go into like finance or something? Like, why didn't I do something else? Or, you know, and I've thought about that. But at the end of the day, I know for a fact that broadcasting is what I love. Mm-hmm. There's nothing in the world that I want to do more than be cage side, calling the fights, have all my research ready to go, be ready to go with Jason, someone in my ear telling me, hey, you're on in 5. I mean, when those lights come on, when your music hits, when Jackson says make some noise, dude, there's nothing like it, man. And so it's near and dear to my heart, and it's purely fueled off of the passion and the love and the respect that I have for the sport of, for the world of sports broadcasting.
I mean, you do a great job at it. The first pay-per-view I did watch was the Idaho pay-per-view.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, because for some reason I didn't know that you can go back and rewatch the pay-per-views until I actually was on the website, and I was like, oh wow, like you can go back and look at the back catalog, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm working on ads and stuff. I'm doing commercial reads on my show and whatnot, and so I'm doing my research and I'm looking. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a whole back catalog. FierceFightingChampionship.com, by the way.
Media Hub.
Yeah. And so I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow. No, you guys do an amazing job, and you have something special about you. So I'm glad you didn't go finance. I mean, your pocketbook probably would say otherwise. Maybe finance is more lucrative.
Sure.
You know, especially early on, right? Wall Street or something. But I feel like you got the look, you got the voice, you got it. I mean, you get it. And the reason why I was asking you about college is because, I mean, I didn't go to college. I I just kept my head down, kept working, and I got opportunities. And so when I'm looking at somebody like you, that's younger than me and that's took a path that I didn't take, I always wonder, do you feel like it was time well spent?
Yes and no. I would say that college gave me the reps that I needed to in a secure environment where I didn't need to, you know, try to find every possible internship, because 2 times a week I was anchoring a sports show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For their broadcasting program. And so that's where the reps came in. But no doubt about it, I wish that I could have been out in the real world and getting more real world application as early as I possibly could. And we'll talk about it more with Fierce, but I was reaching out to Fierce when I was still in college, way before. And I was just like, please just give me a chance. Like, just give me one shot. And so it's kind of crazy how it's come kind of full circle in that way. But I do think that going to school helped me get the reps that I needed when people necessarily wouldn't give me a chance because I didn't have the resume. Because when I got out of college, my entire resume was everything I did in college. And so it was maybe, but also I do like the way that, you bring it up is that, putting your head down and just going to work and doing everything you possibly can, creating wherever you possibly can is another option. And I think both are very, very, legitimate and great ways to start a career in something like this.
So when did you get your first opportunity to call a fight?
So it was, let me think about this really quick. It was October of 2020. So it was October 2020. It was for Mountain Force, which was up north, up in Logan. And then they also did fights in Idaho. And then the first one I think was in Tooele that I did. It was at like a raceway. And it was basically for 6-7 months, I was reaching out to all the MMA promotions that were local. So Steel Fist, Fierce, Mountain Force, Crown. I was reaching out to everybody and I was just like, hey, like, this is my background. I train jiu-jitsu, so I know a little bit. And I really want, if you need a play-by-play announcer, I would love to do it. I would love to help you out. And didn't really hear back from anyone, or people would say, we kind of got our people, and that's all good and fine. But Mountain Force did say, hey, yeah, we'll give you a shot. And so I went and did it, and it was atrocious. And it was pretty bad. But
are you saying your performance was bad?
Yeah. I felt like I did bad. No. Mountain Force was great. I really enjoyed my time calling fights with them. They're awesome. Juan Pablo and all of them. They do a great job. And seriously, if I don't have Juan Pablo, I don't think I get the opportunity with Fierce because and we'll get more into that. But Juan Pablo really just said, yeah, we'll give you a shot, whatever. Gave me that opportunity. And I felt like my performance was very lackluster looking back. But I remember leaving and I was like, wow, I just did exactly what I want to do. And it was like the most incredible feeling in the entire world. Super fun. And polished over the next year and a half with Mountain Force and stuff like that. And then, it was incredible, but yeah, it was fun.
Did you say 18 or 20?
2020.
2020?
Yeah.
So this is, we're in pandemic. Yeah. So how did that go?
It was weird. So like I had to call the fights. Everyone around the cage that wasn't speaking had to have a mask on. I was luckily just for that time able to take my mask off just for that. And then I called the fights, put the mask back on, like in between, like if I wasn't talking, I was wearing a mask. And but they had, it was in October, and so it definitely was in the full swing of it, but it wasn't like at the height where everyone was quarantined. Like people were trying to get back out and people wearing masks and stuff like that. So they made sure it was commissioned and all passed off by the state and stuff like that. So we were clear to go, but it was kind of wild. It was interesting. It was different. It's a lot different than it is now for sure. But yeah, man, it was fun.
So you do that promotion, and then do you do any other sports play-by-play before that or after that?
Not play-by-play. So the only play-by-play I've done is for MMA. And really at this point, like that's where I want it to be. Like I would love to call basketball. I would love it. But in my eyes, there's thousands of people versus probably hundreds of people that want to do the MMA route. And maybe I'm wrong and maybe it's tens of thousands, but there's less people wanting to call strictly MMA than people wanting to call basketball, football, things like that. So I just love the sport, man. I love it. I mean, I could watch it all day. I could talk about it all day. And so I that's in terms of where I want to go. It's MMA. And so outside of the play-by-play for Mountain Force, it was just, my sports broadcasting at BYU. And then on top of that, it was Park City TV.
There was no, going back to college, there was no opportunity within BYU sports to...
I tried so hard to say, hey, like, why don't we have a student run play-by-play situation? Like, why can't we bring in a football player or a player who played here in the past? And then, one of the sports broadcasters comes in. But we never were able to. That was one of kind of like my big dreams for the program when I was there. Never really got the opportunity to do that, but it's all good. You find your opportunities wherever you can take them, and you just have to take them. And I'm sure a whole lot about that.
I think that's a miss on the school. You know what I mean? I feel like, you know what I mean? You have this program that you have students going through. Why not give them an opportunity? Now, I get it. We're talking about brand deals and contracts and whatnot,
Sure.
but I feel like if you can grow your own folks, like your folks are only going to look out for you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like think about, I don't really know too many people that graduated from BYU that are like the forefront of like, you gotta go to, like, that recruit people to go to BYU.
No,
right?
100%. I mean, I will say this, like BYU did do a really good job. So we had like a TV show that we did once, like every single day
On BYU TV?
on BYU TV.
Okay,
and
yeah.
so that's where we got our reps. So the training was more so to be like a sports anchor on KSL or
Gotcha.
something like that. So that's
Okay.
kind of where it was, but there wasn't really those opportunities to do like play-by-play and things like that. So yeah, I mean, can't have everything, I guess, is the way that I kind of looked at it when I was there. But I completely agree with you. I always wanted that opportunity to, you know, do more than just, all right, you know, Cougars versus UVU, you know, whatever it may be. So I completely agree with you, man.
So what was the introduction to Fierce?
So I started reaching out to Cody Bunderson, who's the president of Fierce Fighting Championship. I started reaching out to him. It was January 1st, 2020.
And how did you know that this guy was the president? Were you doing your research?
I was doing my research, and so I was training down in Provo at Agima Jiu-Jitsu and with Dana Rissazabal, and great school, incredible people there. And he was like, yeah, reach out to Cody Bunderson. He does Fierce, you know, he could maybe give you a shot. So I reached out to Cody, and he said, you know, yeah, we could probably use you one of these days, you know, just reach out to me whenever. So I reached out to him. COVID hit. I was just about to do one for him, like literally, like it was like days before, and the event got shut down. It was crazy. Like
Zach was telling me about that.
yeah, and so it was it was sad, and I was like, man, is that my last shot with Fierce? Like, is that going to be it? Because the goal was always to get to Fierce. I loved the show that they did. I loved the fighters that they had, and I just really respected what they were doing. And then, you know, a couple years go by, and it was May 20th of last year, 2022, that I get a random text from Zach, and he was like, hey, you did Mountain Force, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I heard you want to do play-by-play for us. And I was like, I mean, I'd really like to. He's like, all right. He's like, we'll give you a shot 2 weeks. Like at where were we? We were at Mountain View High School, Fierce Challenger Series 2. And went, called it alongside Joel Haro, met him that night, met Jason the day before. And I just want to tell the story. It was one of the, it's truly beyond any other opportunity I've ever had. The greatest moment was I get a text right when we're signing off, and it's from Cody, and he's like, we want you every single time. And I was like, this was my dream. Like, this is exactly what I wanted to do. And so been with them ever since. Extremely grateful, and just full of gratitude for everyone at Fierce for giving me the opportunity.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah, it was literally dream come true. Like I don't know if I've ever had a happier moment outside of, you know, getting married, getting engaged. My wife is incredible. But in terms of a career path, nothing better than receiving that text from Cody, leaving, thanking Zach, and him just saying, you're our guy. Don't even worry about it. Don't even thank me for being here. Just, you're our guy.
I mean, you're a man of faith, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's some things that are just bigger than you that you just kind of have to let things go. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you try so hard, sometimes you block your own opportunities. It's weird. And then at the least, you know, at the last expected moment, that's when things, you know, the higher power lets it happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's really cool, man.
Yeah, it was special.
So, that first call, your first call, you said you had Joe Haro next to you. You're at the high school. It's the Challenger 2. What was that experience like? Did you fumble anything? Were you nervous? Did you have sweaty palms?
You know, it's funny. So I didn't, and the reason why was that for that show, and I mean, I will say, like, I do this for nearly every show, but I was ready. Like, I was like, I must have had 20, 30 questions for Joel, because we started, and just like a lot of promotions, like we weren't ready right at the time that we were about to kick off. Well, we have to hit record at 5 o'clock for the pay-per-view buyers. Like they have to know that something is happening. So they go to Joel and I just did like 20 minutes just shooting it with Joel about absolutely nothing. But luckily I said, just in case something happens, I'm going to write an entire page of questions. And so I just went down the list, asking Joel all about the card. Joel didn't know a whole lot about the fighters and things like that, but he knew some of them and was able to put his perspective on things because, you know, he is one of the top fighters in the entire state. And so he was really able to carry that part of it. And then I was able to just kind of, you know, steer the boat. And that's all I really have to do. That's kind of my main job, is steer the boat, lead Joel, lead Jason wherever they want to go, whatever they want to say. And was able to take care of it. And looking back, it wasn't my best call, but I definitely felt more secure in that moment than I ever had prior. And it was just because of the preparation. So
that's really cool, man. I get excited hearing these stories because sometimes when you get in a certain position, and maybe, I don't know if you felt this way or if you will feel this way, maybe you won't, but sometimes it feels like work sometimes, right? And I say that because we pray for these moments, right? We pray to have our own studio. We pray to get the opportunity to call a fight. We pray for these things. But then sometimes when we get it, we forget what it was like not to have it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then I don't know if it's being, I forget what the word is, but you're stuck in this place where complacent. That's the word, right? Have you ever felt that way? Maybe not with this career that you have right now, but in general.
That's a great question. I would say in terms of complacency, not necessarily, not yet. I'm still young. I'm still very, very early in this thing. And so I know that there's probably going to be that at some point. I do remember having a really tough conversation with someone who I have a lot of respect for in this business. And he basically told me some of the harsh truths. And it was right around the time that, you know, my TV station had just shut down. And it was like, I just got to find something. Like I was in a perfect position and now it's gone. And so I got to figure something out. And so more so it was not the complacency, but more so the doubt. It was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? Like I'm chasing this dream that's a 1 in a million shot that, do I think I could maybe do it? Sure. But I could be putting my time and you know, everything else that I have into something completely different that's so much more lucrative, so much more, you know, reliable. But back to it, my wife is incredible, man. And I called my wife. I was on the road and I was in tears. I was like, Allie, I don't know if like I'm gonna keep doing this. Like I'm dead serious. I think I might be done. And not because of any terrible thing that happened. It was just like, I don't know if this is the right move anymore. And my wife was like, no. She's like, you're doing it. She's like, this is your dream. This is what you do. There's nothing else that you love more than this. Like, you're doing it. And she's the reason that I have less of those situations where I start to doubt myself, where I start to feel complacent, where I start to question why I'm doing this. It's Allie. It's 100% Allie who pulls me out of that and makes me look at the bigger picture of like, what's your dream? Like, and why do you have this dream? And who are you? And why do you do this? And when I go back to those answers, because Allie knows me so well, I'm able to say, yeah, you're absolutely right. Back to the grind. Let's get back on Tapology. Let's start researching some fighters.
That's awesome, man. Hey, props to wifey, man, because
she's special, man.
If you don't have a backbone, if you don't have that support system, it's really hard out here, man.
Oh, yeah.
You have self-doubt. You overthink things instead of having somebody level-headed that brings you back to ground, right?
100%.
What are you doing? Like, what are you thinking now?
Yeah.
Like, stop it.
No, she is so good at it, man. Like she in the most loving way possible. She just knocks me upside the head. Like she's just like, come on, man. Like we know. Like this is what you're supposed to do. And you know, in my humble opinion, like I'm going to try my absolute hardest and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to be the best I can be at it. But you know, when any of that doubt creeps in, it's just Allie smacking me upside the head, which I love. And I could not thank her enough for it. So I know she'll probably listen to this. So getting a couple extra brownie points, but truly it's not, it's more than anything. It's just 100%. She's my backbone when I don't have it for myself. And I think that's something that makes her and our relationship so special.
It's far-fetched to work on your dreams until your dreams become reality, right? I think it's always funny when people say they doubt you, right? And then sometimes when you listen to that doubt, you absorb it, right? And you kind of doubt yourself until you don't. Then you make it happen, and then it's like, yeah, it was far-fetched until this happened, right?
Yeah,
I love that.
What about you? When do you feel like you have you ever had a moment? I'm kind of flipping the script on you.
No, you
Sorry,
good,
bro. When do you feel like it was like your I made it moment, or like your dream come true moment, or have you even had it yet?
That's kind of hard. It's kind of hard for me because I don't really sit back and absorb what I'm doing yet.
Interesting.
Because I'm always creating. Like right now, I've created two podcasts, right, that are going as being consistent, and that's where I find success, right? Like I gotta stay consistent.
Yeah.
Right. It's not necessarily the numbers, but me being consistent will bring the numbers. Me being consistent will bring the people. Me being consistent will bring the brand deals. Will bring the opportunities, right? And so I haven't really had that moment just yet. It's more or less, how can I just keep moving? Like just keep moving. I just haven't had that just yet.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I always like take a step back and I'm like, how can I help the next person?
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing that we always forget is, not always, but sometimes we forget, is how can we help bring up the next person too? Right? While we're looking for all those opportunities, you might have an opportunity to help somebody else come up.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else can help on a Challenger series to do a play-by-play. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, 100%. And I think about that stuff all the time. Like, you know.
Yo, does anybody tell you look like Hugh Jackman?
I've gotten that a couple times.
Sorry.
Man. No. You're good. So
I'm saying, I'm like, man, you look like Hugh Jackman.
So I've got my wife's friend's mom like texted my wife like a couple years ago and was like, your husband looks like Hugh Jackman. And it was just so random.
You sit across from Wolverine right now, man. This is awesome.
No, when I grow out my mustache and I get a little like chin strap, I look a lot like Tony Stark.
Oh,
Robert
okay.
Downey Jr.
Robert Downey.
Yeah, that's the one that I get the most. But I have gotten Hugh Jackman before. That's funny you say that.
In this moment where you are, I mean, you're living your dream, right? You're working, you're doing everything that you want to do right now. What are you most proud of?
That's a great question. Let me think about that really quick. What am I most proud of? When it comes to sports broadcasting, you ask any of the best sports broadcasters in the world. You go to Mike Breen, you go to Kevin Harlan, you go to John Anik. They all say the same thing. The number one thing is preparation. There is nothing that will help you in your call, make you sound better than your preparation. I think when it comes to what I'm most proud of, I think I would say I'm grateful that I prep as much as I do. And for the pure sake of, I want every single fighter that goes in there to feel like they had a professional call their fight. Like it sounded like a real fight, like they were on ESPN or ESPN Plus or on a pay-per-view. I want them to feel special. And so my goal is make the fighter feel as special as possible, make the team feel as special as possible, make the promotion grateful to have you, and it all comes back to preparation. You ask any great play-by-play announcer, and they say, if you don't prepare 10 times what you need, then you won't be successful. Or not that you won't be successful, but you will have a harder time. And so prepare. And I would say I'm grateful that I have that in me, that I have to prepare. Like there is, if I have to stay up 48 hours straight before an event because I don't have my boards done, I will do it so that everything is set and ready to go. I've got a stat for this, wherever the fight may go. I've got something ready to say, to set up Jason, to set up Joel, to give the fighter some sort of I didn't even realize that about myself. That's really cool. Something like that. That's the key. And so when it comes to what I'm most proud of, I think it's just making sure that everyone else around feels valued and bringing that to an audience, I guess I should say.
So you practice, right? You prep, a lot of prepping. How much time is spent learning names?
Oh, that's a good one. So names, we don't have too many like super tough names. Some of them are tough. I think the toughest one as of recent was probably Yazin Haji, because it kind of is spelled, it could go a couple different ways, and so it can be difficult. Names is something that I actually collaborate with Jackson. So I sit next to Jackson at weigh-ins if I don't have anything else going on, if I don't need to be filming video or setting up a live stream or something like that. I go sit next to Jackson and we phonetically write out all the tough names. And then basically for me, you know, that pretty much only happens the night before the fights. So the night before the fights, I will go through all my boards, and any time that their name is mentioned on a walkout script or, you know, above or anything like that, I'll write it out phonetically. I'll write it out as simple as I possibly can, and then I'll just go over it over and over and over again. A couple hours the night before every single fight, and then the day of, I'm doing it as well before I go to the arena.
Man, I'd be nervous, man. When I look at some of these, some of the names, I'm like, whoa, this one is a little difficult.
It can be tough. It can be really tough.
I'm like, why can't they all just be Jerome Hatch?
Why can't they all just be, Derek Jorgensen?
Yeah.
I love that one. You know, like it's just, but you know, the fun names also are another reflection of your preparation.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jackson, and I love this about Jackson. He does such a good job of making sure that it's right. Mm-hmm. And it's like people will say, and he told you this on the podcast, that people will come to us and say, oh, well, you know, say whatever you want. It's like, no, this is your moment, dude. Like, or you know, this is for you. And we don't want your family at home. We don't want your teammates at home hearing us butchering the name over and over and over again. Like, we got to get it right. And so every great play-by-play announcer also says that, like, the name has to be properly announced. Like, it has to be properly announced. And so that's a huge priority for Jackson as well as myself. And it's huge. But yeah, names can be tough, man. Names can be really tough.
I think being in your position, obviously you mentioned if I'm not doing videos and stuff, I'm with Jackson at these weigh-ins. How do you manage the time holding two different hats in this organization?
You know, I think
because you should be in the content too, right? Like you I mean, arguably you're the face of this thing. One of the faces.
I mean, you know, I like to think of it as a team effort. I appreciate that. You know, I like to think, you know, Jason, Zach, Jackson. I mean, where are we without Mandy and Sajin and Cody and Joel? I mean, there's so many people, and I'm sure I've missed some people. And Jordan Buscarani, who directs and produces our entire pay-per-view, and he's a huge mentor for me, man. I love that guy. I really think that all of us, you know, do everything we possibly can, and that's kind of the special thing about Fierce right now. And Zach probably talked to you a little bit about this too, is that right now our team is full of people who believe in this thing. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to wearing a lot of hats, it comes back to the passion, man. It comes back to it's all going to be worth it. And would I rather be doing this than filing someone's taxes? No offense to anyone who files taxes. I mean, I'm sure, you know, I'm sure you enjoy that as well. But more than anything, like, would I rather be anywhere else? Like, would you rather do a different job than grind as a radio DJ? Like, I just want to make sure I got your
yeah. No, I'd rather be doing what I'm doing now.
Exactly.
I could definitely go and like you mentioned, man, I could go work for Amazon or, you know, one of these big corporations and get a fat check.
Yeah.
Right. But I won't be happy.
Exactly. And so for me, when it comes to wearing a lot of different hats, it's like, I'm going to do everything in my power. One, to show this, you know, this promotion that I believe in, that I'm all in on this thing. But on top of that, you know, just know for myself that, like, you're a part of something that's growing, and you're a part of something that I truly believe is special. And I'm just incredibly grateful for it. I'm just incredibly grateful that Zach sent me that text, that Cody responded to my texts. And so really, you know, I'll do anything for, you know, these people, because they gave me an opportunity when they didn't really know much about what I could do. They just gave me a shot. And so I'll give them everything I got.
So what's the next step?
So my dream, when it comes to, like, what do you want? It's the UFC. I mean, I do someday want to be you know, alongside the John Annex, the Brendan Fitzgeralds, the Dan Hellys. I mean, all the great broadcasters that the UFC has. I want to be in the same room as those people, whether that be producing for them, whether that be doing social media for them, whether that be, you know, calling the fights themselves. I want that someday. That's the dream. But right now I'm happy, man. Like I'm really happy where I'm at. And I want to, you know, call as many fights for as many promotions as I possibly can. But for right now, you know, all in on Fierce and focusing on that, I'm incredibly grateful for it. And you know, I understand the weight of the position and how it's, I'll put it this way. There's not a single job in the entire state of Utah. There is no job in the state that I would rather have than what I do right now. And there's only one position for it. There's only one, you know, position for, hey, Fierce needs a play-by-play announcer. And I'm humbly, I don't mean to sound like I'm the only guy that can do this. Anybody could do it, but
nobody, not anybody.
But more so, I'm so grateful that you know, I'm in the position that I'm at. So I'm happy right now. But you know, as time goes on, as the years go on, as I get more polished and as I figure more things out in terms of being in the booth, outside the booth, you know, post-production, whatever it may be, I do want to get to that next level. And that next level will probably be a couple promotions before the UFC. But I do want to have a career here in mixed martial arts.
It might not be. It might be. You might be out of here, right? You might go from Fierce to the UFC. Have you applied for a job over there?
I applied for a couple internships in college. None of them ever came through or anything like that. But I did get to cover UFC 278 as a reporter for Park City TV back in August. And so that was pretty fun. That was pretty special. Got to rub shoulders and meet some of the people in the business, some of the big names that I really look up to. And that was really cool. So, you know, maybe I get there, you know, maybe I don't. But more than anything, I know that the harder I work and the more I put into it, the more will come back. And I just truly believe that.
I think you have a bright future in it. I think you have a lot of opportunities right now that you could take today. And it's really doubling down on the content and your knowledge. Yeah. Right? We have a pay-per-view this weekend. I would love to hear your takes on it, on short, quick clips that we can get out and share and be like, there's no reason why. And I know you're helping out with the podcast now, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, so take me into that a little bit.
Yeah. So Jason and Zach did it for years. And I truly believe this. What they did is legendary for Utah MMA. When it comes to Utah MMA, Zach Partridge, Jason Laporte, they are up in the rafters. Their jerseys are up in the rafters for Utah MMA. They are special. What they did was so important. Unfortunately, Jason's job is a little bit demanding these days. Zach is basically running the promotion now, you know, doing all the work for it. So they just kind of didn't really have time for it. And it was right around the time that I was coming in and Jason would say, hey, can you hop on the podcast for me? Or Zach would say, hey, can you hop on a podcast with me? And for a couple months there was no damage plan. And I told Zach when he was like, we want to bring you on, I was like, let's bring back damage plan. I was like, let's bring it back. Let's change it up a little bit. You know, obviously I can't do something in person here. I'm not in a Salt Lake. I'm not in a Utah Valley. I'm way down south. So I've got to do it over Zoom. But we do what we can with it. And the main point is, like Zach and Jason, the goal was always for the fighters, right? It was always for the fighters. And so coming into this kind of new era of the podcast, the goal is make it about these fighters as much as possible. Know their stories, know why they are, who they are, how they got into fighting. I mean, you know, you don't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to go get punched in the face. Maybe you do.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, there's a reason for it, whatever it may be. And so I'm interested in that. I'm interested in the people that have influenced them to get there. I'm interested in the coaches, the gyms, wherever, whatever it may be. And then I'm also interested in the fun stuff too, which is all the fun stuff that we post on our socials, you know, to get people to watch the Full Form podcast. And so, you know, they're anywhere between 15 and 40 minutes, but in that 15 and 40 minutes, we're really trying to dig deep into these fighters' lives and get to know them. And I got the opportunity to talk to a couple headed into this upcoming card this Saturday. And I'm a fan of these fighters. I mean, they're just incredible people. And so being able to talk to them, get to know them, that's kind of the goal of the podcast, is just continue to put a spotlight on these fighters who are incredible, man.
So are you working down south with any of the promotions down there?
Nope. I am just doing Fierce right now. So I'm full time with Fierce. I mean, I honestly don't really have time. I mean, between the podcast, running the socials, doing play-by-play, coordinating, every fight announcements, things like that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And so there's not really any time to do anything else. If a promotion reached out and said, hey, we want to, come down to Arizona, absolutely, I'm going to go and I'll find the time to do it. But for right now, it's full-time Fierce, and that fills in, a good 40-hour week.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's super fun.
It's energizing to hear your story, man.
I appreciate it.
It's really cool. Is there a fight so far that you're just like, man, that was one of the best fights I've ever seen? A fight, maybe a fighter, maybe who was a fighter that you just love to call or love to watch?
Dude, you got an hour? Like, my goodness. So the best Fierce fight I have ever seen, 100%, Kesley Collar versus Steven Steyerwalt last month in Idaho. Do you remember that fight?
Yep.
Back and forth striking chess match, those two. I mean, it was crazy. Like the slapping leg kicks and oh my gosh, they were just getting after it, man. It was an incredible fight. That's the best Fierce fight I have personally ever seen. When it comes to favorite fighters in the promotion to watch, I'm just going to talk about people that I enjoy to watch, because I've got friends and I don't want to get diluted into, I try to call the fight straight down the middle as much as I can.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest parts of the job. But when it comes to fighters that when I see them on the card, I go, ho, 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 like, everyone make sure to get in their seats before this guy makes the walk or this girl makes the walk. Andrew Mickelson comes to mind. Joel Haro comes to mind. Vila Mikulu comes to mind. He's retired, but Ben Moa comes to mind. I'm trying to think who else just off the top of my head. Kent Mafaleo is incredible. Julian Ruiz, who's headlining this week, is absolutely incredible. David Kim, who's a former teammate of mine who I love to death. He's fighting this upcoming weekend. He is super fun to watch. His opponent, John Smith, just as game. Cody Heyman, who's fighting Julian Ruiz, just as game. Mina Yushirawadi's incredible. Nicole Funga's incredible. Ludi Alves is incredible. Hannah Silva, our champion, she's awesome. She's just great. Her sister is making her MMA debut this weekend. Ooh. So that's going to be really interesting as well. Melody Schrock is incredible. So, I mean, there's so many, and this roster is packed with talent. And so I'm just excited to see where these fighters can go and how much Fierce can push them to get to that next level, wherever it may be. But yeah, I mean, there's so many good ones, man. I apologize to everyone watching if you were hoping to hear your name. I promise you, I just, a lapse of judgment. I apologize, but pretty much anyone who's making the walk is pretty incredible. But those are just some of the big names.
So my question for you is, the baddest man in the state right now. Everybody's talking about him. First round, he's taking everybody out. Kent Mafaleo.
Kent.
Who beats Kent Mafaleo?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I know there's some conversations about bringing people in from other states and things like that. I don't know who beats Kent Mafaleo. Who gives Kent Mafaleo a good fight? It's Jack Buller, who's in Idaho, who fought Luis Cortez just a couple of weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. That was interesting. And to see them in the cage after, I think that's going to be a very enticing title matchup if Jag wins his next fight and if Kent wins his next fight. I don't know who they're going to be fighting, but if they both end up getting the win, I believe Zach is going to set up that fight between them two, which is what he said in the cage back in Idaho. And I would love that fight. I would absolutely love that fight.
Is it possible we see that before the end of the year?
For sure. I know Kent wants to stay as active as possible. I mean, he fought 2 times in 3 months, I think, last year.
I mean, he got it done quick.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he goes in there and doesn't get touched. But man, that was fun, that last one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was crazy.
You know what's funny? So we wrap up. We go back to the hotel. We're in the restaurant at the hotel.
Yeah.
Burger Theory.
Yes.
Shout out to Burger Theory. They really took care of us. And Jag's sitting right behind me and my family as we're watching Volkanovski fight.
Yeah.
Right. You got it was the weirdest thing, man. We have Oh my gosh, Judge.
I can't think of the name.
Oh my gosh.
I know Scott.
Not Jorge. Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, I'm leaving you out to dry.
No, he's a cop. He fought. It's my boy too. Dang. He fought Dominico.
Johan Rubio.
So Johan's right there, right?
Johan was up there. Oh yeah, he was up there.
He came
forgot
up.
about that. Yeah, Johan was there.
He's over here. We got Horn, his table. We got the Mongolian right here. There's other people right here, and then Jack's right behind me. So I'm like, this is a weird mix in the restaurant.
If something goes down, we're safe.
And it's all Utah people, right? It's all of us. So I was telling my wife, I was like, I feel good that we're like a mob here. It's like all of our Utah people are here, and it's just funny that we were sitting there, we were watching the fights, and that dude, he just won his heavyweight fight, right? Yeah. And he's from out of the country. He's from Canada, right? Canada. And he's just sitting there. He's like, this is a really good steak.
No, he's so chill, man. Yeah, really
cool.
I was asking him a couple questions. I wanted to make sure I got his last name right. I wanted to make sure, you ask questions to specific fighters every time there's weigh-ins. And he was just so chill. I was like, hey, Jag. He's like, hey, how's it going? Like, I'm like, you're so normal. Like, and all of them are. Like, they're all just so nice and so cool. But Jag is interesting. I think that's a very interesting matchup. So I don't know who wins that fight. I personally, I cannot say who I think wins that fight. But for sure, I think that is a very, very enticing matchup. And it's going to be, two very, very high-level heavyweights going to town. So 2 undefeated records, 2 fast finishers. We'll have to see how it plays out. But I hope that fight gets made.
The cool thing about being a DJ is that, like, I don't really have to, have political ties, right?
Sure.
For me, I'm like, man, anybody from Utah, I'm rooting for you. So, Mafaleo, you better take that Canadian down, all right? Not only is it Utah, but USA.
No, I mean, it's so fun, man. And for anyone watching, whoever it may be, whether, you're a fighter in Utah or whether you're a fighter in wherever it may be, I just want to say this while I'm here. I try my absolute hardest. It is the hardest part of the job, but making sure that it is called down the middle, that whether you're from out of the country, out of the state, whether I've never heard of you before, that you get the same respect, the same time on preparation, the same amount of statistics as the person from Utah that's getting the big buzz from the crowd. Yeah. Because on the flip side, everyone from out of state, they're all the ones watching the pay-per-view. Yeah. So they have to feel like their person is getting their due. Yeah. And so that's one of the tough parts of the job, but it's also something that I am very conscious of, and I'm trying my hardest. I hope that I do a good job. I'm not too proud of the Joel Haro versus Warren Weingartner one, but Joel Haro's a teammate of mine, a good friend of mine, a broadcast partner of mine. I just got a little too excited for that one. And that's something that, I regret, no doubt about it. But for the most part, I really, really try to call it as down the middle as I can.
Yeah, man. Well, you do a great job at it. What I would like to know is, how good are you with noises?
Dude, we'll have to see, man. I'm nervous. I watched Jackson's, I watched Zach's, and I think you did What's That Noise with both of them.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I was like, 100% I got it. And then you said it and I was like, frick, I didn't get it. Like, not even close, man. I'm not even close.
Well, let's jump into What's That Noise.
Hey, Dre, would you calm down for a moment and just let me talk? At this point, you're just rambling, all right? What's up, everybody? I go by the name of Will Wonder, and I have a podcast called The Will Wonder Pod. I know, super original name, but I promise you'll love it. We talk sports, we talk music, and generally have some really interesting interviews with people that are doing some really cool things. So make sure you check it out wherever you get your podcast. Once again, that is The Will Wonder Pod. All right, Dre, go on about your business, whatever the fuck you were talking about.
What?
What?
What is that noise? So with this, I'm going to play this noise, and if you get it right, you got Venmo?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Venmo you some money.
All right.
If you can get it right.
All right.
And you get a chance to play at home as well. 385-240-4666 is the number for What's That Noise. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Can you hear that all right?
Yeah, can you play one more time?
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, man.
Let's run it back. (385-240-4666) is the number for What's That Noise. Blake, here you go. One more time. Oh, let me run it back. What is that noise, my man?
I'm gonna say it's stepping on a pile of leaves.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say that. It's probably wrong, but
It's winter. I don't know where leaves are right now.
right. No, I know. I mean, shoot. I don't know. Maybe it was from like 06 or something. I don't know.
Oh man, that's funny. No, it's not stepping on leaves.
Okay. What was it?
I can't tell you.
Oh, my bad.
Because it rolls over.
Oh,
right?
okay,
It rolls over. So 385-240-4666 is the number for What's That Noise. Tell me what this noise is. If you're a sports athlete looking for a mouthguard to protect your pearly whites, look no further than All Sports Mouthguards.
All Sports Mouthguards, located in West Jordan, Utah. Come visit us, 1385 West, 9000 South in West Jordan, Utah. We offer high quality, made in the USA, custom molded and custom designed mouthguards.
Hey, that was
Leaves wasn't a good guess. That really wasn't a good guess. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But I appreciate the opportunity. And yeah. So.
Yeah, hopefully next time. If you know it, drop a voice note, drop a text message. I want to see if people can get that noise. It's not an easy one.
How long have people been trying to figure this one out?
So this one right now, we are running 4 weeks.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The last one was 6 months, I believe.
Oh my God.
The one before that, nobody can get it. It was an onion. It was peeling an onion.
Oh man, that'd be interesting. I cook a lot, so I feel like maybe I'd be able to. I don't think I'd be. I mean, 6 months. I don't think I'd be able to figure it out, but I'd be interested. But whatever.
You enjoy cooking? Are you good at it?
I in my humble opinion, I think I'm both.
Okay. I feel like you would give like a nice like pasta. Like, what's your go-to?
So here's how the cooking thing came along. Basically, my wife is awesome, and so I was like, in order to impress her, I'll cook for her. So I just really got into cooking.
Before marriage? Is this when you're in the courting phase?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and it's really fun, man. So I apologize. What was your question?
Your go-to dish.
Oh man. So
if I'm going over to your house,
yeah,
right? And what are you cooking your guests? What's your go-to?
I got two. I'll give you the option. I'll give you a menu.
Ooh.
So I can either make you a nice medium rare steak, New York strip, with some garlic mashed potatoes, topped with some chives, which is so good, dude.
Fire.
So good. That's my wife's favorite. And then my personal.
No, how do you do your mashed potatoes though?
So what do you mean? Like
are you using a ricer? Are you just mashing manual?
So I want to get a ricer. That's like something I really want to like. I haven't bought one, but I'll either use the KitchenAid or I'll use a hand mixer, and I'll beat those things and then I'll put them through a sifter too. Ooh. Make sure they're as creamy as possible. Make sure there's no lumps in that thing.
Butter.
Oh yeah.
Milk.
Tons of butter.
Cream.
So I do a mixture. So I don't know if you've seen on YouTube. There's this guy Joshua Weissman.
Yeah.
It's his mashed potato recipe. He's the guy that does like
he remixed the food.
He's like Jack in the Box tacos, but better or whatever, you know. So I watch a lot of Joshua Weissman, and he like I make his recipes, and I'm like, man, this is really good. And so
you got his book?
I don't have his book, but I'd like to get it. But I love the stuff he puts out. He makes really really good content, and so he makes these steaks, these steak and potatoes. And so I just pretty much follow that recipe. I do a little bit of, I put more chives on it or, whatever it may be.
Now the steak.
Yes.
Do you just do butter, salt, pepper, or are you doing seasoning on the steak?
So I'm doing butter, salt, pepper, rosemary, thyme, crushed garlic, butter basted.
He knows what he's doing, people.
Yeah. So I try to season my food. As well as I can. Steak, I think you can get away though with the salt and pepper. As long as you do it well, you can lose a lot of that taste.
Yeah.
But if you apply it enough, like if you got to be pretty heavy on those two spices to make sure that it's ready to go. But yeah, I think you can get away with it with a steak with salt and pepper though.
Medium rare?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Medium rare for me is the only way to go.
You got it right on the steak.
Yeah. I'll even go rare as long as it's not cold in the center.
Yeah.
But it's got to be tender, man. It can't be tough. Like it can't be.
Do you do a steak sauce at all on the side?
I don't do a steak sauce. So between the butter, mixing in with all the aromatics, it turns into a pretty nice sauce. And then I'll let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes. I chop it up against the grain, and then I put it on the mashed potatoes, and then the steak sauce, which is just basically the butter mixed with the salt, pepper, and the aromatics, lays on top of the mashed potatoes, makes it taste really good.
He knows what he's doing. Second dish.
Yes. So the second dish is a Filipino dish, and it is chicken adobo. And I don't know how I know this. I just learned this one day. It's voted the second tastiest food in the entire world. Soy sauce, vinegar, garlic. That's basically it. Brown sugar. That's it. Sear it. Put it into a mixture. You let it boil. You put the chicken back in. You let it boil for 30 minutes. Put it over rice. Dude, it's delicious. It is delicious. I'm dead serious. Like, I'll bring you some. I'm dead serious. I'll bring you some to the next event. Not this one coming up because I'm going to be in a hotel, but I'll bring you some in April.
Okay.
I'm dead serious. I got you.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
Did you serve a mission?
I did.
Where'd you go?
I went to the Philippines.
Did you learn the language?
Yes.
What's the language?
Cebuano.
Cebuano.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
Long time ago now. 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember it? Are you still fluent?
I can speak it.
Okay, the reason why I ask is because if you don't use it, you lose it, right? And
Sure.
I'm assuming there's not a lot of
There's not.
in Filipino, right?
Yeah.
Speaking people out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot. And I definitely have lost it. But I do think that if I were to go back, I could get around for sure. Like, I still remember the conjugations, wherever it needs to go, stuff like that. But it's fun, man. It's a fun language.
Did you, when you were serving your mission, did you come across any, I guess, boxing? Like, was
Boxing?
Out there.
Oh yeah. Everybody wants to be Manny Pacquiao. I mean, that's like their hero there, man. People love Manny Pacquiao, and rightfully so. He's one of my top 10 favorite athletes of all time. I mean, I absolutely love Manny Pacquiao. Long before I ever went to the Philippines, he was just my favorite boxer. No, I mean, there's posters of him everywhere. There's boxing gyms everywhere. I don't think anyone, obviously people in the Philippines knows grappling and stuff like that, but the main sport there is boxing, and it makes it seem that, like, there's not nearly as many people interested in wrestling and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, because everyone's learning boxing over there because of the impact of Manny Pacquiao, and rightfully so.
Now Jordan Clarkson.
Jordan Clarkson. Oh man, he's awesome.
Are you a Jazz fan or are you a Laker fan?
Laker fan. But I grew up a Miami Heat fan.
What?
This is an interesting story. You ready?
Yes.
All right. So I started watching basketball when I was a little boy, 3-4 years old. 3-4 years old puts me at like 2000, 2001. Who was dominant during that time?
01?
01, 2000, 01, 02. Who was like the most?
Kobe.
Kobe, who was his?
I mean, LeBron was 03.
Yeah. But who was next to Kobe?
Shaq.
Shaq.
Yeah.
Where did Shaq go?
Miami.
He went to Miami. I followed Shaq because Shaq was my favorite player. But then there was this little young two-guard named Dwayne Wade who had the coolest basketball game I have ever seen in my entire life. Oh my gosh. So Dwayne Wade is forever my favorite basketball player. Watching him play the mid-range, his crossover, getting to the bucket, being able to finish from everywhere, 15, 16 times the line, per game. I loved everything about him. And so I followed him. I watched him. So it was Dwayne Wade. It was Shaq. It was Kobe. So I was a Lakers fan, but over anything else, Dwayne Wade always took the priority. So I was a Heat fan until Dwayne Wade retired. And then now I've been a Lakers fan the entire time. But
that's crazy because during that time, it was Wade, LeBron, Melo, right?
Yes. For the draft class.
class.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the Heat, and I was
not the Heat, but the draft class.
Yeah.
Right. Those were like the big three. That was the new generation.
Yeah.
And I feel like out of the three, I feel like Flash was the one that most people weren't really gravitating to.
Well, no, I mean, he went 5th versus Melo, who went 3, and LeBron, who went 1. Like, it was crazy. And then so that was kind of another thing that I really liked about D Wade was that people they didn't count him out, but they definitely, he wasn't as flashy as, Syracuse national champion or, Gatorade player of the year, #1 like NBA prospect of all time in LeBron James. It was Dwayne Wade who led Marquette to a Final Four for the first time in a very long time, maybe the first time ever. I don't know if I have that stat correctly. And he comes into the league And within his third year, he puts on one of the greatest finals performances of anyone we've ever seen. I'd say in my lifetime, the only finals performances I've seen better is maybe Giannis in 2021 and then Dirk Nowitzki in 2011 when they beat our Heat. But D Wade in 2006, his third year in the league, that's one of the most incredible runs of basketball I've ever seen in my entire life. So D Wade's my guy. Working All-Star Weekend, I was in the same room as him. I didn't get to talk to him at all, which was really sad, but childhood hero for sure. Him, Kobe. Yeah.
What were you doing for All-Star?
So this was before I was doing Fierce full time, and I was just looking for, a little bit of work here and there. And so all through college, I kind of did, small little positions with ESPN, college football games, jazz games, whatever it may be. And we were actually at the Maverick Center, and we were about to call a fight. And this guy comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, are you Blake?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "My name's Jed. You probably don't remember me. I had worked with Jed all of college." And he's like an adult. He has kids. And he's like, "My name's Jed. Like, I don't know if you remember me." I was like, "Of course I remember you, Jed. Like, how are you?" And he's like, "Hey, my wife is actually looking to get some people to help out with All-Star Weekend, for ESPN, TNT, whoever it may be. Are you available?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I'm totally available." So I got to work on NBA Today for 3 days while they were in Salt Lake City, and it was super, super fun. And there were some cool people there. One of the people, which is what I talked about before we turned on the cameras, was I met the Miz, dude. So so this is kind of a funny story. Is this okay? Sorry, I'm just kind of going.
Brother.
I apologize.
I love this.
So the Miz, I don't watch pro wrestling. I don't watch it at all. Like I've never watched it, never got into it. Like MMA is my thing. I dabble in boxing, basketball, football. Those are my sports. Never watched the WWE or I don't know if there's another. I'd never watched pro wrestling. And there was a lady who was working at ESPN, and her name was Elizabeth. Elizabeth, super nice lady. Her husband is one of the main producers for ESPN MMA. So I knew Elizabeth because I follow her husband on social media. And her husband and all of those people with ESPN MMA, I guess, are huge pro wrestling fans. So Elizabeth comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, I need you to go pick up one of the show guests today." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And she's like, "You have to promise me that you're not gonna freak out." And I was like, "Okay, like who am I picking up? Like is it like I have no idea. Am I picking up, Conor McGregor? Like I don't know."
Yeah.
And she's like, "The Miz."
You said who?
And I don't watch wrestling.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, I don't know who the Miz is, Elizabeth."
Yo.
Which is like sacrilegious. But dude, he was the nicest, coolest guy. Am I like, is that wrong? Like, is that wrestling community? Like, should I not be breaking his character?
But I mean, I'm older, right? So I don't know him for WWE. I know him for MTV.
Oh, okay.
I know him for the Real World.
Oh,
he was one of the original Real World guys. He did this thing. Are you familiar with the Real World?
Not really, no.
So MTV, they used to have this show called, MTV used to be a very big thing back in the day. He used to be on the show called The Real World, and they did this thing called The Challenge, where they would do like different, it's like a Survivor kind of thing.
Cool.
And it was with reality TV guys. And he was one of them. He ended up making the transition into the WWE.
Yeah.
And so when he did that, that's when he really found stardom.
He's so talented.
Yeah.
Like, so they were like, "We need you to cut a promo for the cold open for the show." And so everyone was surrounded by him. And he goes from like, yeah, absolutely, no problem, to like, "What's up, guys?" Like, it was like that. Like, he just turned it on, one take, no problem. Like, and just, that was it. We needed one take and that was it. And I was like, man, that dude is awesome. So the Miz, I don't watch pro wrestling. I've never really been into it, but I did get the opportunity to meet him, and he was incredible. He was super talented, super nice.
After meeting him, did it entice you to even try, like, Google, like, YouTube some of his matches or anything?
So I never really was interested, but I did watch the Celebrity Game, and I was so sad for him because that was so cool what he did. The half court shot right at the end to win the game, and it was just right after the buzzer. But no, so I haven't really watched any of it yet. I might. I mean, I might. I've never been able to get into the pro wrestling thing, and so yeah. But
some of the things they do is incredible, man.
They're such great athletes, man. They really are. They're great athletes, and on top of that, I didn't realize how good they are at just turning it on.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's incredible. It's really incredible.
Gotta sell it, man. Sell. Man, you know what sounds really good? Just some chips and salsa.
You want the best salsa ever? Get yourself some Sauce Up Salsa at sauceupsalsa.com. Fresh fire roasted salsa, fresh ingredients, fresh produce made just for you.
All right, man. I got some questions.
Yes.
Not for me personally, but I reached out on social media and I had some people send me some questions. So we'll just jump into them. Okay. This one's from Cameron and Sandy. Do you only do play-by-play for MMA?
Yes. So
Tentatively right now.
right now, that is where I want to be. That's what I want to do. So yeah, I love it. It's super, super fun.
Cameron, I think he answered your question through the first hour. Tom in Milwaukee, Oregon. Does John Jones beat Stipe? This is happening in July, right? They announced it July, I believe.
Yes. Yes, he does. I was there. My wife surprised me for my birthday. We went. And I was there at the event.
Hold on. At the Gone fight?
Yeah, we were there.
What?
Yeah, it was incredible, man. It was so cool. So it was the day after my birthday, and I woke up and my wife was like, "We gotta go." I was like, "What are you talking about?" And we had like a chill, birthday. We went out to dinner. It was fun. And she woke me up and she was like, "We gotta go." I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "We're going to Vegas." She's like, "We're going to the fights." And I was like, "Are you serious?" I was like a kid in a candy shop, man. It was incredible. So,
was this your first UFC?
No. So I covered 278 when it was here. And then I also went to Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington, UFC 240. I think it was 240. Maybe it was 235. Incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. So it was, so I saw it live, and I do think Stipe is very tough. It's going to be a significantly tougher matchup, but John really surprised me. I mean, he made it look pretty easy, and it was really impressive. So I'm gonna say John Jones. Tentatively, I like Stipe. I think Stipe is awesome. Love what he does for his community and stuff like that. Great guy. I think he might be a little past his prime. I don't know how active he's been. I know he seems very motivated, and I think it's going to be a complete dogfight, but I do think John Jones probably gets the edge.
Okay. Tom, that answers your question. Connie in West Valley City. Have you ever had to leave mid pay-per-view?
Yes.
Restroom break?
Dude, it was the January card. That card was incredible.
Yeah.
Dude, I was going to throw up that entire night. I was so nauseous, and my stomach was just in a knot all night. I could not shake it. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. It was so rough. And then we had like a couple minutes because the Julian Ruiz Cody Heyman fight, which is now rescheduled for this weekend, that fight fell through the day of the fights, literally moments before we started rolling cameras. And so we were like, okay. And Zach was like, I still want Julian to get his opportunity to come out, thank his fans for coming out. So Julian comes out, and I turn to our producer, Jordan, and I just go, I take off my headset, I mute my mic, and I'm like, I'm going to go throw up. And he's like, oh, okay. And so I like ran out. All the bathrooms were locked. I was trying to find somewhere to go. Finally found a place. I didn't throw up. I just was able to use the restroom, was able to, settle my stomach enough to get through the rest of the card. But it was bad, man. Yeah, so I have had to leave mid pay-per-view, and the reason for it is
nauseous, man. All right, thank you, Connie. Travis in Atlanta, Georgia. Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I haven't really looked into it a whole lot. I think there's definitely other life forms out there. I think that there's got to be something. I can't believe that it's just us. Like, there's got to be life somewhere else. So yeah, I believe in aliens.
So do I. I think the universe is way too big.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Milky Way?
Dude, so
pretty crazy.
We went to the science center in LA when my wife and I were there a couple months ago for Christmas for Christmas. And we watched this show about how big the Milky Way is, just how big our galaxy is. Dude, it boggles my mind. I can't even put into words what it's like. It's crazy. It's super cool. So
how's the stars down there? Where you guys live now? Is it still city lights that you can't see?
In southern Utah?
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful, man.
You can see all the stars.
It's really nice. We're in Hurricane, so we're just far away enough from like city lights. Like St. George, you probably can't see them as well. And then when we were living in Zion, when we didn't have any internet, I mean, we would just go outside. We'd be like, wow, like this is crazy. Like it's beautiful. It was incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Darcy in Salt Lake City. In Mike Tyson's prime, would he had a winning MMA career with the right training?
With the right training, absolutely. If he would have learned, are we also, so I guess we don't really have this context, but if we're putting Mike Tyson into the MMA of the late 90s, which was, Tyson's prime, well, Tyson was more the early 90s, but if we were putting Tyson in an era when he was, at the top of the world, I believe he would have been Chuck Liddell. He would have found a way to sprawl, stay up on his feet, brawl with the right coaching, figure out how to stay on his feet and use his hands. And I think he would have been very, very successful.
But does he beat a prime Royce Gracie?
That's tough. I mean, here's the thing. So it's kind of funny. People always think that like, and no flack on you or anything, but people always think like, oh, the jiu-jitsu guy is going to pick the jiu-jitsu guy. I'm like, well, I mean, like, Khabib's more of a wrestler and he's better than all of us, So so it would be tough to say because Mike Tyson does have, a special, ability. And with the proper coaching, if he found a way to not get taken down, I think Royce Gracie would have a very, very difficult time. Back then, a lot of people didn't know what they were doing. But if Mike Tyson went with one of the best wrestling coaches in the world, which he would have had the funds to do because he was on top of the world, maybe he would have been able to, take care of Royce Gracie. Who knows? Maybe not. That's a tough one. I would say back then. Oh, that's tough, Drake. Oh. I'm gonna say Mike Tyson.
Darcy.
I'm gonna say Mike Tyson. Yeah.
You think Tyson?
Yeah. Thank you, Darcy. I appreciate the question. Thought provoking here.
It's awesome, man. I love to think about those questions where it's like, if they were in their prime, how would they be now, right?
Sure.
Right, like like Michael Jordan at the top. How would he do in today's NBA?
Well, so let me ask you, what do you think? Because I have kind of a hot take on this, so I kind of want you to take it. I'm just curious. What do you think? Like, where do you think Jordan would be?
Oh, I think Jordan would be out of here. I think you got to think about Jordan was going up against the big man was elite back in the 80s and 90s, right? The big man, your favorite, Shaq, the biggest center ever, right? Best man to do it. He was playing against him.
Yeah.
He was playing against Mutombo. He was playing against Hakeem.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the big man now?
Yeah.
Right? Who's in the paint now?
Joel, Giannis, Jokic. Those are like the three.
They play the paint though. I mean, they
but they're not ball dominant. They're not rim protectors to the extent that
Exactly.
a Shaq, a Hakeem, a Dikembe was.
So I think Jordan plays well in today's NBA. It's hard. I mean, he really didn't develop that jump shot until later in his career.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard to say, but I think he would do well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
I think he'd be a ruthless DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the play style that he would kind of look like. A lot of mid-range, but deadly from mid-range. One of the best we've ever seen. I think he'd be able to get to the bucket even better than DeMar does. But I think he'd be great. I don't know if he's the most dominant player in the league today, but maybe he is. I don't know. But who knows? We can never figure that out.
How do you feel about the Frenchman Wembanyama?
Wembanyama. I can't wait for him, man. I can't wait for it. 7'6", plays like a one. He's like Magic Johnson, but a foot taller. I mean, it's crazy. And he's probably a better scorer. So I'm really excited. I think, the stories about the teams tanking and things like that, I think it's rightfully so. I mean, I think he's going to be a special talent if he can keep his knees intact, if he can keep his feet intact. Yao Ming only had a 10-year career in the NBA because he was in and out pretty quickly due to injuries, specifically to his knees and his feet. And so if Wembanyama can find a way to combat that early, at a young age, know how to recoup and recover and take care of his areas where he might be more susceptible to injury than someone who's 6'6", 6'4", then he's going to have a long career and he's going to be special.
I'm just excited for him to get NBA competition.
Yeah, I can't wait for that too. That's gonna be fun.
Hey Alexa, can you show me a new barber?
Don't worry, I got you.
Boogie Down Barbershop in Taylorsville is now open. Anything from gentleman's cuts, taper, fade, or if you want to treat yourself to a nice hot towel shave, Boogie Down Barbershop has you covered. Cuts for men and kids. Book your appointment today at boogiedownbarbershop.com.
And all the kids are treating me very nice. It's great.
Gee, I can't wait till I go to high school.
Don't you say that. Don't you ever say that.
So with the yearbook, just like you did back in the grade school, right? You go to the end of your yearbook, there's always best blah, 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 or most likely to blah, blah, blah. I'm going to give you these scenarios. You have to fill in the blank, all right? Dead or alive, people we know, people we don't know. It could be celebrities. You fill in the blank.
I'll keep it as fierce-centric as I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most likely to open a restaurant. And you no recycles, by the way.
Yeah. No worries. I got you. Most likely to open a restaurant. You know, I hate to use my vote first, but I have kind of a dream to open up a Filipino restaurant.
Really?
I really do. I really want to someday.
Now, do you have more than one dish?
So that's the thing. In-N-Out only has one option.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean? I think simplicity can sell if it's done right. And so I've kind of got this in my mind. I'm like, but who knows? Most likely to open a restaurant, I would say probably myself, because I've always wanted to open up a Filipino restaurant. I think that'd be really, really fun.
I dig it. What would you call it?
Adobo House.
So obviously it's the Adobo House.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's something. It's such a dream. I don't think it'll ever happen, but who knows?
No, it will. If you want it, it will.
Yeah.
Best personality.
Best personality? Jason Laporte. I love that guy.
Me too.
Yeah.
He's been ducking my podcast though.
No way.
Yeah, he's been ducking me.
I was gonna tell you, man. You got to get Jason on here. He's incredible.
I've asked him.
He's amazing.
He's
man.
a busy guy though.
He is so busy.
He's too busy for Dre.
He's so busy, man. Come on, Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
Come in here. It's
Stop
fun.
playing me. Most likely to get a tattoo removed.
Removed. Tattoo removed.
Do you know many people that are tatted up?
Yeah. I've got a lot of friends who have tattoos. Actually, I do know someone who's had tattoos removed. It's my birth mother's husband. Dave.
Oh, okay.
So Dave. Yeah, I'd say my guy Dave.
I feel like he had a blue belt and then he was like, "Nah, I'm a black belt now." All right. Most likely to ask for something for free.
Ask for something for free.
And I say Sajin.
Oh no! I won't say Sajin. Yeah, these are like. He wouldn't ask me, but I love him so much that I would do it. It's my brother. I would do whatever he needs for me for free. Like he needs me to do something, I got him.
Love it.
Yeah.
Most likely to start a podcast.
Let's see. I'm gonna say Jason already did, Zach already did, and now I'm doing the thing, I guess. Most likely to start a podcast, I'll say Jackson. I'd like to see Jackson do a podcast.
You know, I preach to him. I think that he has a lot of opportunity to create more content, right? I feel like there's like you guys are in the thick of things, right? Like if I'm in that position, man, I'm doing all type of in-field interviews and things like that. So much you can do.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Best dressed.
Best dressed? Best dressed. My mom has incredible style. My mom Jenny, my birth mother, she so this is kind of funny, but she actually, I text her before every Fierce show. She's the one that's like, all right, wear this with this, use this combo, do this. She loves fashion. She's incredible at it. So I'd say my mom.
That's the first time I seen you in a t-shirt.
Right? Yeah. No,
You're always suited.
Yeah. I mean, well, you got to be suited when you got to be suited when you're cage side. I mean, if you're doing it any other way, there's a quote Tom Brady has. He said, "There's no such thing as business casual," and I went, I'd say in most instances that's pretty true. Like, if I'm gonna wear a button up, I might as well throw a jacket on. Like, why not? So, yeah,
Blazer. Okay.
My mom for sure. My mom for sure is best dressed.
Best hair.
Best hair. Man, let me think. Best hair.
Who has that nice hairdo?
Oh man, I've got a couple in my head. I'm gonna say my wife has beautiful hair. I'm gonna say Allie. I'm gonna say my wife Allie.
All right. Biggest hater.
Biggest hater?
Have you came across hate yet?
Not really. I mean, biggest hater. I mean, I wouldn't really say, anyone. I mean, I would just say, yeah, not really any, big haters. A lot of very nice people, a lot of very supportive people.
He has to say that, people.
No. I mean it. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know. One of my biggest goals in life is to just treat people with kindness, treat everything that I do with as much respect as I can in order to, have it come back in some sort of a way. So,
Blake, you are a tremendous human, man. As you progress, you will get that hate.
Oh, for sure.
But don't let it overcome you.
I appreciate it.
We're human, right? We all been there before. So I know you're the humble guy. I'll take it.
I'm sorry, man. I don't have an answer for you on that
You're good. Most likely to stay the night and never leave. Have you ever had that friend that just came over? They over there on a Friday.
Dude, that's so silly, bro. Oh my gosh. Most likely to never leave?
Because I was that friend. I would go over to my friend Nick Rosso's house Friday after school, and I wouldn't leave until Sunday night.
Okay. I got someone then. And this is because I don't want them to leave either. It's one of my closest friends. His name is Dre too, Andre. Yeah, we used to live at each other's houses. I mean, we never were apart. So I'd say Dre, but not in a bad way. I'm happy Dre was always around. So
hopefully, Dre, if you listen to this, man, it's a great name.
He's my boy.
Okay, most likely to be seen on reality TV.
Reality TV. I'll say Joel Haro. Did I already say Joel Haro? I might have.
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you did.
I can't remember. But I'll say Joel Haro. I think he gets on The Ultimate Fighter someday.
Okay. I would love to see that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, last one. Most likely to answer your call, day or night.
Zach. Zach is always ready to, text back as fast as possible, which I really appreciate because if I've got a pressing question or something that I need to, get figured out pretty quickly, Zach's my guy. I can always reach out to Zach, and I know he's got me.
I always feel bad reaching out to Zach on the day of the show.
Oh, my God.
He has so much going on.
Dude, he's so busy.
And here's my little, hey, Zach, do you have those tickets?
Do you have an XLR cable for me?
Who do I need to talk to about sound? Oh, man.
Hey, where's I need power. Where's the outlets out here?
And then,
that's funny.
The day that his son broke his leg.
Oh my gosh. So I wasn't working for Fierce yet, but I knew about it.
Oh man. So I'm texting Zach and he's dealing with, the emergency.
Yeah.
And Jason's like, oh yeah, his son broke his leg. He ain't coming. I was like, ooh, I felt bad texting him that day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, awful.
Are you sick of podcasts that just interview people with the same questions and gossiping nonsense?
Are you tired of hearing about what's wrong with the world? Can you locate your nearest orphanage?
Who cooked the Last Supper?
R.I.P. Mr. Potato Head.
Seppuku Harakiri.
Where is Mavis Beacon?
This is Hos.
And this is Host Beefy.
Listen to the Beans and Rice podcast.
Exclusively in Braille and all streaming platforms.
Patent pending.
Hey, yo, you're probably listening to the Unrestricted podcast with DreRawka.
We are?
No, they are.
Yeah, oh, right.
Oh, wow.
And I'm the real Ruby. You can catch me and Fonzie and
Defunct.
G-Daddy Funk on Lake Talk 801 podcast.
Yeah, but I think you have to come in more smoother, more funnier. Yeah, they could catch us on the Lake Talk 801 podcast.
Yeah, y'all can catch us on Lake Talk 801.
Yeah, and be like, and yeah, man, hey, and they could catch people like me, the real Ruby, and people like you, Fonzie, and people like him, G-Daddy Funk,
wow,
on
that's
the
a
Lake
lot
Talk
of people.
801. Who cares?
What did he say?
Huh?
I didn't hear him.
I don't know, but this probably should be the ad.
Are these on?
Catch a new episode every Monday on all streaming platforms. The Lake Talk 801. Tune in now.
Let's jump into the festival.
Yes.
So with the festival, we're going to choose a location name of the festival. I'll choose the DJ and the host, and we'll just go tit for tat on acts, right?
Okay.
We'll do 3 acts, co-main, and then the main event.
Okay, so we're doing MMA. Or we're doing
music.
Okay, we're doing music.
Music now. And it's any genre.
You got it.
Dead or alive.
All right, you got it.
Okay. So where's the location? Where are we having this thing?
I hate to be so boring, but I'm just gonna go LA. I mean,
Hollywood or where we're at in California?
Let's go Hollywood.
Okay.
I don't really know. So I did a lot of concert going here in Utah. I didn't do a whole lot in California, but I would somewhere in California. Dodger Stadium. Let's do that. Let's do it there.
Have you seen the new Creed?
I haven't seen the new Creed.
They had their last match
in Dodger Stadium. I saw that in the trailer. That was sick.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's super cool, man.
Okay, we're in Hollywood. Okay. What's the name of this festival?
Hollywood, name of the festival. That's the hard question. I could tell you who's going to be on it, but
well, maybe we circle back on the name.
Let's circle back on the name if we can.
Okay, so DJing this event, I gotta have my man DJ Craze, who's an incredible DJ.
Okay.
And then hosting with Craze, let's do prime comedian Martin Lawrence.
Okay. Very cool. I like it.
Martin Lawrence is the man. Okay.
I like it.
Okay. Let's do the main event. I feel like the main event. Let's get the main attraction out the way.
Who's headlining?
Yeah. Who's their headliner?
Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, K-Dot.
No doubt about it. It's got to be K-Dot. It's got to be
K-Dot in France. So TDE takes over.
Yeah.
Schoolboy Q's there.
Ooh,
J-Rock.
We got all Black Hippie.
Absol.
Oh, yeah. Get the whole TDE crew in there.
I love it.
Even though Kendrick's not with TDE anymore, but
yeah.
Whatever.
Okay. Who's the co-main? Who's opening up for K-Dot and TDE? Friends.
Dude, I don't think there's a better option. Okay. How many more of these options how many more people are on?
So we'll do the co-main event and then we'll do 3 more.
Okay. So we do have 3 more. Okay.
So it'll dwindle it down to the very opener.
I'm going to say getting the crowd as hyped as can be, getting everyone ready to go. The seemingly consensus #1 live performing artist in the world right now. I'm going to go with Travis Scott. So you get Travis to get everyone going crazy and excited, and then you get the King Kendrick.
Okay.
To cap off the night.
I dig that. Okay. Opening up for Travis Scott. Let me go ahead and pick. I think we need a little different flavor.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Just a little bit of different flavor. I'm thinking prime Linkin Park.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That would be sweet.
I think they have a nice crossover. Mm-hmm. You know, a little hip hop, a little alternative.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Next.
I'm going to go. Ooh, I got a good one. I'm going to go Denzel Curry before Linkin Park. Kind of a little bit of a metal grunge hip hop sound. I'm such a one-trick pony when it comes to music, man. I just know hip hop. I don't listen to anything else. So yeah, I'll go with Denzel Curry. I think a Denzel Curry, like his intenseness, like the way he performs and stuff like that. Melt My Eyes to Your Future was a little bit more calm and collected, but like the Taboo Denzel Curry,
yeah,
he opens up for Linkin Park. People are going to be excited.
And then who opens the show? The first act.
This might be a little bit out there, but I'm going to say Brockhampton. Do you know Brockhampton?
I don't. Who's this?
Oh, you don't know Brockhampton? Okay, so Brockhampton is a group. They split up, but back in 2017, they made 3 like critically acclaimed albums in 6 months. Saturation 1, Saturation 2, and Saturation 3.
Oh man.
And they call themselves like a boy band, but they're a rap group from Texas, moved to LA, and just kind of blew up over these incredible albums. And so I would say, I've seen them in concert multiple times. They're the best group they're the best artist and group I've ever seen perform. So yeah, I would say Brockhampton, and then yeah, we can go down the line.
So we're in Hollywood. We don't have a name yet.
Yeah.
I think we just call it Hollywood Original.
Hollywood Original?
The Hollywood Original Festival in Hollywood, California. Let's do it.
I love it. I think we got ourselves a festival, brother.
Blake, where can the people follow you? When's the next show in April? Because by the time this comes out, Challenger Series 4 is already done.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, what's the socials?
More than anything, just Fierce Fighting Championship. Head over there. That's where, we want as many people as possible. Fierce Fighting Championship. Give us a follow. We try to post as much interesting podcast content. We've got fight content. We've got our sponsors. We've got our fighter pairs. We try to get as much as we possibly can out on our socials, and we're really trying to build that up. So give us a follow over at Fierce Fighting Championship. And man, it's been fun, Dre. I appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate you, my brother. I gotta pee really bad, so I'm gonna head out. Allrock.com, ALLRAWK. Have the day you deserve. Always protect your light. Peace.